Big Mike and Hayes Entertainment here. Today's episode, we got Aaron Goodvin, country Canadian singer. Here we go, guys.
If you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button.
Hey, it's Aaron Goodvin, and I'm coming up on I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
I'm halfway through a Chardonnay, and I don't plan on staying sober. You can bring your air guitar, don't let this night get in.
This is I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. We are going live.
Hello, gentlemen.
How's it going?
I can't hear you.
Hey, Aaron, I just want to thank you very much for coming on today. We really appreciate you taking your time for us today.
No problem at all, man. I'm
Hey,
so happy to be here.
I'm Ryan, by the way. This is Big Mike.
Nice to meet you.
Mike. So good to meet you guys.
So we're just going to ask you a bunch of questions about country music and your career.
Okay, I should know all the answers.
So you grew up in Alberta?
Yes. I was born in a small town north of Grand Prairie called Spirit River.
Okay. And you started at a young age. If I got my stats right here, you started at the age of 12 after winning a competition at the mall.
Yeah, I didn't actually win. I think I won the second time around. There was 2 that year, I think. The first time I didn't win. The second time I got I think I got second place, and or did I get first place? I don't know. I can't remember. All I remember is I got a $200 gift card to the mall, and I went and bought golf clubs at Zellers.
That's not really where you buy golf clubs.
No. But for me, at 12 years old, I was ecstatic to have my own golf clubs.
Absolutely. What made you choose country music?
It was pretty easy for me. I had my family was all huge country music fans. When as I was growing up, we would take camping trips and all the time, and to this day, we still take camping trips. One every August, actually, and one that I'll be missing this year because I can't get across the border and quarantine for 2 weeks and bring my wife and dogs. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. But my family always sang country music around the campfire, so I grew up around it. I was devastated the day I found out not everybody loved country music. I thought that was just like a thing. I thought people would be like, we would talk about, like, I would talk about country artists, and some of them would be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'd be like, "How do you know? What do you mean you don't love country music?" So that was a heartbreaking day, but it's really just been kind of my language. I tend to speak better in song than in person, so or in just normal words, as you can tell right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just kind of a way of communication for me. I just grew up around it, and I just love it so much.
Who influenced you as a music artist growing up?
There was a lot of people, a lot of different artists. It all started with my family. It was kind of a family affair, and I always looked up to my uncles and my aunties, and I never knew a lot of who the artists were in the beginning, and I just knew the songs that they would play. And but as I continued to grow up and learned how to write songs and play guitar and sing, like right off the bat, I was heavily influenced by my sister and my mom. My dad was always off working, trying to put food on the table. And so I grew up around my sister, which was like Brian White was a big one for us. Clay Walker was another big one. That was anything kind of 90s country is kind of, even to this day, what I gravitate towards as far as songwriting and songs just in general. I just have a big spot in my heart for those type of songs. So it was basically anything. I remember I'd go to voice and guitar lessons in Grand Prairie every week, and my mom would take me, and we would stop at the CD store called Sound Waves, and I would pick up a new CD. That was on Tuesdays. That was when records came out on Tuesdays back in the day.
Yeah.
And I would always go buy a new CD, and it would be like whatever just came out, whether it was American or Canadian, whether it was what other artists would come out. I was just always so ecstatic to get new music and be able to learn it. And yeah, so.
Awesome. Recognize the koozie?
Oh, dang. That's amazing. You planned that. That's great. I love that. Where did you get that?
At the concert out in Abbotsford when you opened for Rascal Flatts.
Yes. What a great show that was.
It was awesome.
It was a
That was awesome.
It was a great show.
I remember meeting you at the booth after you guys' show or whatever, and you were such a beauty off the stage too. So we became even bigger fans after that.
I appreciate that. I love getting a chance to say hello to everybody. You know, it's one thing to like look at all these people out in the crowd and you know, keep them at an arm's length and never, you know, but I'm more a people person than I am anything, and I love getting a chance to hear you know, people's stories about how they got there that night or what's going on in their lives that they need praying on and just all that stuff. It's the music becomes the ministry, if that's a saying. So
Absolutely. Do you have any hobbies or interests? And did you play any sports growing up?
yeah, I was big. I played all sports, but I was a big hockey player growing up. But as you can notice, I chose a profession in which I look very tall when I'm on stage, but I am not very tall in real life. I'm about 5'6", and it didn't. I was pretty much 5'6" in grade 7. I played power and volleyball. You know, I was spiking the ball, but then I just stopped growing, and so sports became a little smaller in my mind. I learned a lot from playing hockey, and I learned a lot about why teams win, which has helped me in the music business tremendously. Nobody does this stuff alone. You know, it takes a village of people, and I truly just have amazing people around me. But I was a big hockey player. I love playing hockey. I still play. I still try and get out there to this day. But it's not as great as it used to be, but people still say I'm fast. So I'm happy.
Hey, I'm pretty small too. I'm 5'6", play hockey as well, beer league, still playing beer league.
Awesome. Good for you.
They told me my growth spurt was coming one day. They told me in kindergarten. I'm still waiting for it.
Yeah, I know. You too, right?
Yeah.
I know. My grandma said, I stopped quoting her years ago because up until I was 17, she's like, well, you can still grow. Like when, you know, 17 or 18, you could hit a spurt. Never came for me.
Yeah. Who is your favorite hockey player?
Oh man. I was a big, for the first little while, I remember being a huge Fedorov fan.
The white skates?
My dad was a big Red Wings fan. And so I came to know them during the Yzerman, you know, Fedorov, Lidstrom era, I should say. And so I was a huge fan of his. But, like, through the years, it's changed. I live in Nashville now, and it's we have a great hockey team here, and it's always fun to go watch those games. And but obviously, like, my family are all giant Oilers fans, so I'm sure it looks like you guys are Canucks fans. So my family probably hates you. So
no, that's for sure. At least you got two good Coquitlam kids where we're from our city on your Nashville team in Dante Fabro and Ryan Johansson. He's actually from Port Moody.
That's amazing. Yeah, they're a couple buttes for sure. They they're fun to watch. I really like watching Fabro. He's great.
You ever meet
him? Out of
guys?
nowhere for me, I didn't even know who that guy was, and now I'm like, this guy's great. So.
Oh yeah, we all knew who he was coming from our city. But you ever meet those guys? Like the Nashville team?
No, it used to happen back in the day when I first moved to town. We used to run into a lot of those guys. I remember we used to hang down in a place called the Tin Roof in Nashville, which was a place where players would come hang. And that would have been like when I first moved to town. So that would have been like the Martin Erat, Jordan Tutu days. He was always out drinking somewhere. You could find him anywhere. But
hey, we just had Tutu on 2 nights ago for an interview.
Did you really? That's so crazy.
Yeah,
dude, that's so wild. Yeah. So I remember he probably doesn't remember meeting me, but he did meet me. Really cool guy. I'm Roman Yossi was there that night. Pekka Rennie was there that night that we kind of hung out with those guys. And, you know, Pex is probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. he just, in general, he just really has a amazing heart, and it's just really cool to be able to meet guys like that. I wish we'd meet him more, but Nashville is not the small town that it used to be, and it's they're a little harder to find. So
Yeah, I get that too. Here too, we don't run into the Canucks very often.
yeah,
We try to.
We try to, but it
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
there's a bunch of good dudes on that team, man. Yeah, I hope you
yeah.
get a chance to meet them someday.
So at age 25, you moved to Nashville to pursue your country career. What was the transition like?
It was difficult, obviously we're going through a giant pandemic in the world, and that, being that it kind of reminds me of that in a way, when I first moved to Nashville, except there was no social distancing, but it was it's kind of a shock to the system. And I think, I buffered with a lot of different things, including, alcohol and staying out late, and mostly because me and the guys that I met while I was down here and I started writing songs with, none of us had anything going on, and nobody knew who we were, and that's a hard thing to deal with in a town where you're trying to make it and you're trying to be noticed, and you want people to believe in you, and the town can be very heartless at times, and but I somehow made it through all that. It's still kind of I look back on it, and I think given any other, I think I could have easily just as not made it as I made it. It's just a really weird dynamic, but you do eventually, if you're meant to be here, you have to, put your trust in God, and you have to put your trust in that things are going to work out the way you want them to. And I kind of just always had that tunnel vision, and I never really stopped for anything. And the one time that I did, and I decided that I was going to move back home and pound nails with Dad, I ended up getting a Luke Bryan cut that towards right around that decision, which changed the whole road for me. I signed a pub deal. I was able to learn how to write songs as well as I wanted to, and I got to work with the best songwriters in the world, and it just all changed for me, like, on a dime, almost. So, and then that turned into my, my career, me meeting Johnny Reed, and starting my career in Canada, and it's been continuously going uphill, it seems. So it's awesome.
Is that your Luke Bryan plaque in the background next to Goofy?
Yes, that is. That's the one.
Nice.
That's going on. That's a 2 million. So that's this is back when, well, even his records were selling, but not a lot of other people's were. But that's a 2 million. It's since sold 2 more million. So it's at 4 now.
That's when you wrote Out Like That, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then obviously you just talked about Johnny Reed. That was next on my thing. He kind of hired you as an opening act, correct? And that's how you kind of got going? Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny was a big part of my career. I remember I had literally let a manager go because I had a showcase coming up for some labels. And to this day, I'm like, I would have got a record deal that day. And that was here in the States. And, I've always had high hopes. I've always had big kind of grandiose goals. And if I was going to do it, I wanted to be the best, and put a lot of pressure on myself. And so I really wanted to make it in the U.S. I knew that at least I thought that I would get the support of Canada, being that, I grew up there. I was born there, and I grew up in Alberta, cutting my teeth in bars up there. And, I played in the Alberta, bar scene for, ever, felt like. And, I just really felt like I would have their support if I got a deal in the States. So I had this kind of going on, and then nobody ended up showing up to my showcase. I had to let my manager go at the time because nobody showed, and I needed to make a change. And that very same day, like, this is how crazy this stuff is. I let him go, and that very same day, like, Johnny kind of appeared out of nowhere and had heard a bunch of my songs through a publishing company that I wrote at. Not the publishing company that I wrote for, but I wrote a lot at this publishing company where my producer Bart Butler worked at the time. And we wrote a ton of songs, and Johnny got a hold of a bunch of these songs and was like, who's singing that? And about 8 years prior to that, Johnny took time out of his busy schedule at that time to write with me, which I met him after the Rainmaker Rodeo in St. Albert. I think he had 60 to 0 out. I think maybe he had Missing an Angel. Like, it was the beginning of his career. And he heard a few of my songs and was like, who is that? And Jennifer, the lady who was showing him the music, said, oh, that's Aaron Goodvin. He goes, Aaron Goodvin? I know Aaron Goodvin. What the hell? And he called us that same day, and that happened, and it kind of led to him going, hey, let me like bring you some opportunities in Canada, you know, where you're from. And so it was like one of those things where, you know, it was pretty serendipitous, and I was like, well, we better go with it. You know, sometimes you don't get what you want for a reason. And that was definitely one of those times. And I was able to, you know, one of the biggest blessings and thing that just keeps me so incredibly humble is the fact that like my career for the most part right now is in Canada, and we do have some success elsewhere, but nowhere near the success that we have in Canada. And I have amazing fans, and it has led me to tour across Canada with Johnny and Gord Benford and Rascal Flatts, and it's just been such a not only just touring, we've had a lot of success on radio, and it's amazing. It's amazing that that Johnny did what he did when he did it and gave me that opportunity. So
how important in the music industry is an A&R?
Well, very. A&R to me is, it's not what it used to be, in a sense of, I feel like nowadays artists have to do a lot of stuff on their own, and they have to, I remember when I first showed Johnny songs, because Johnny, his company and his kind of management people became my management. And I remember in those really early days, like sending songs that like what I thought, I was like, oh, this is what I love. And, or this is what I'm working on that I'm really pumped about. Well, I would send them that, and Johnny would go, no. And I'm like, okay, all right. And so in the meantime, I'm thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? And then so I sent the first few songs over, and Johnny said, give me the good shit. And I said, or give me the good shit, mate. And he said, I sent, I think at that time I sent Woman in Love, and he was like, yes. And then I sent Lonely Drum, and he was like, yes. And then I sent Miss Me Yet, and he was like, yes. And so it took a few songs to kind of find out where that was. But I learned a lot. Like I learned, about A&R. Like one of these days I'll probably do a heartbreak record because I love heartbreak songs. But the songs that have done really well for me are the ones that are, songs that Johnny kind of perked up his ear on, because, they're more love songs, and they're more songs that lift people up. And, and I tend to have like this little bit of a dark side that I like to go to sometimes, or I'm like, hey, let's go in this cave and see what's in there. But, so I tend to do that sometimes, and I still do. And I still love songs like that. But what I found is, like, even going out and playing and learning from Johnny, some of Johnny's biggest songs are just big love songs. And so I learned a lot about what songs to, even while I'm writing them, it helps to have somebody in that A&R world that's like, hey, this is going to work. This probably won't. And then it helps you decide a little clearer on, that direction. And we did all of that. And to this day, Warner Music Canada is incredible to me. And they are so trustworthy, of me and my newer management now, but, they're so trustworthy of us, choosing the songs for the record. When V came out, we had a handle on it, and we were like, now that we know what works, we're gonna go make this record. And so then we cut songs like You Are, and which was just a huge hit for us. And now we've got this song coming out that just came out called Every Time You Take Your Time, that we expect will be just a really big hit song. It's just kind of like Woman in Love. It's got a great feel, and you can dance to it and all that stuff. So we just feel like we have a really good handle on that now. And Warner has been just so, like, yeah, we know it's going to be great. You just send us the record when it's done. And it's a
Yeah.
really amazing place to be as an artist because, you know, you don't have that. You're not knocking heads with anybody. You know, they're just totally trust you and they're like, you do your thing. And when we sent them the record V, they literally, and even to this day, they're like, when it comes to picking the next single, they're just like, they're already getting stressed about it because there's so many songs that they want. You know, it's a good problem. There's so many songs that they want to be singles and they want to put on the radio, and it's a great place to be as an artist. Although it can be stressful when you know you feel like you have a lot of great songs. Potentially every song on that record could be a single. I really truly believe it.
Yeah, I used to be an A&R. That's why I asked you about the A&R question. But we got.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Mike's got one for you. Good one.
So obviously you've had numerous hits out there. Lonely Drum, You Are, Bars and Churches, Good Old, Bad Days, just to name a few. Is there a favorite of yours?
Oh man.
You're on the hot seat.
Oh man. I mean, I don't cut a song I don't love. But there's some that mean, how can I answer this? There are some that mean a lot to me, but in different ways. You know, Lonely Drum is probably my favorite song to play live. Obviously, I think that song is the reason why I think people know who I am. I feel like that song was the song that everybody knows now, especially in Canada. Kissel and I were talking the other day. He was like, that's like a Canadian anthem. Like, it's like, he's like, everywhere we go, we hear that song, everybody's singing along. Like, it's just this total, which is an incredible thing. But it's like, that song for me is just like, it really just shows like I can totally be a goofball, you know. In fact, I'm mostly a goofball. When I'm trying not to be smart, I'm usually just a giant goofball. So like for me, like that kind of shows that side of me, and I like that. But then, you know, like Bars and Churches to me is on a whole nother level. Is I think it's just you just don't write that song every day, and it means so much to so many people. And you know, although it wasn't like this huge like chart topping #1 song, we felt that it like just really touched a lot of people. And I like that's mainly like I consider myself to deliver songs. You know, I don't just sing them, I try to deliver them, and that's one that I love to deliver just because I love singing that lyric. I think it's so real. I struggled with a lot of, you know, mental illness things and stuff like that, and going to bars and churches back and forth. And I like literally the guy I wrote that with saved the title for me because he was like, you're going to get this and you're going to know how to write it. And so, and it was just, I remember writing it. I remember how beautiful it felt to write. And I just feel, and to this day, I still have a ton of people that reach out about that song. And, but you know, and then Miss Me, that's probably my favorite breakup song. I mean, I could go all day. I mean, Woman in Love was pretty much my wedding song.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta beat that. You Are, I mean, I love You Are. I thought You Are was kind of inspired. We were listening to an Ed Sheeran record that just came out, and my co-writer was a super big, great guitar player. Dan Huff's like protege. Dan Huff's produced all the Keith Urban records and all the, I mean, just a monster. And I was writing with Brandon Hood is his name, and he plays guitar like way better than I ever could. It's probably the only right in town where I actually put my guitar down, and I don't drive it. But he's so incredibly creative, and we were listening to this Ed Sheeran thing, and then I was like, oh, we should do something like that. That'd be fun. And then we just came up with You Are, just like wrote it. I always try to keep my lyric as real as possible. I believe that real wins, and I totally believe in authenticity. But I don't know, man. I don't even know if that answers your question. I feel like there's some.
No, that's totally fair. You got to love all your music, of course. That's totally fair.
Well, I love it in probably in a different way than everybody else, but I just, you know, like I said, I don't cut a song that I don't flip over or don't fall in love with. So
I definitely blast Lonely Drum and You Are many times. Those are two of my favorites for sure.
I love that.
You answered that question. Obviously, Lonely Drum, certified platinum, the only single country to achieve that in 2017 and 2018. That's a pretty impressive stat.
Yeah, I mean I owe it all to the people. It's truly a song that, we like to call it a reactive song in our world. It's a song that gets a rise out of people, and I don't know exactly what it is. I knew that we had written something super special when we wrote it, and that was the second song we wrote that day. It took us about an hour to write. It was very quick. I remember when we finished the chorus, we were like, was that the whole course? Like, are we done? Like, I remember asking, I'm like, is that all? Like, is that it? Yeah. And they're like, I think that's it. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. It's just one of those things that it just kind of fell into our lap, and we were us three were very, very happy to be there. And I'm happy for my buddy Skip. He's a great songwriter and talent, and producer, and in his own right. And we're up for another CCMA this year for Songwriter of the Year, and we won 2 years ago with Lonely Drum, so hopefully we'll win again.
Yeah, that was my next one. 2018 won CCMA Songwriter of the Year. That's a massive accomplishment, and you must be super proud of that one.
Yeah, I had been going to CCMA since I was I missed a few years in between when I first moved to Nashville, but probably since I want to say 16, which is about 15 years ago. So I've been going for a long time, and I watched a lot of people win awards. And I was never out for any of them for the longest time. So I kind of knew that was kind of a moment in which it felt like it had really all paid off. And, and I think those are the moments that you kind of remember and hang on to as you continue to go, to keep you the most humble. I threw my hat on the ground, and the only person standing between me and that award was my dad. So I threw my hat on the ground and I hugged my dad, and I totally forgot about my mom, my wife. I didn't even think about it. I was like, you're in between me. And I was just freaking out. So it was an awesome, awesome moment. And it was so much fun. It was so cool.
What would we find on your playlist these days?
That's a good question. Taylor Swift just came out, so that's probably all I'm gonna listen to for the next month. My wife is a huge Taylor Swift fan. We were just listening to it coming back from dinner, but yeah, which is I don't know if you've heard it, but it's totally different than all the other stuff she's done, which is cool. I'm a big fan of the Taylor Swifts and the Eric Churches of the world, and the ones that seem to just keep finding ways to recreate different ways to do what they do. I think it's so incredible to watch people kind of go through that, and and it helps me sometimes to listen to like what people are trying or what they're doing now, and how I can incorporate that into what I do. But yeah, man, I've really enjoyed like some of the stuff that's come out. Like I really like More Hearts Than Mine, Ingrid Andress, I think is a great song. Anytime my dad brings up a lyric, because he never does, so I know that it's a great song, because his favorite line in that song is, if I bring you home to mama, I guess I better warn you, she falls in love a little faster than I do. And he loves that so much because he's like, your mom does that, like you can't fall in love with anybody like this. And so, and like, those are the lines that I go, ugh, I get really mad that I miss sometimes. But yeah, I listen to a lot of, like, if I'm on the road, it's all mostly prime country. I'm not gonna lie. I'll go through the other ones, but I always go back to like just that when I'm driving for whatever reason, I just want to listen to good old country music, and even earlier than the 90s sometimes. Like it's just so it's so far gone that it's like almost refreshing to hear now that everybody's kind of going in this other direction. So
I was playing old school Alabama at the pool yesterday.
Yes,
and
sir.
I still love it. I seen Alabama and Sawyer Brown with John Michael Montgomery in Vancouver in Vancouver one time.
Man,
I love Alabama.
Alabama rock. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's like one of those things where I don't think we'll ever get back to, but for good reason. We wouldn't do it the same thing. But I just, for whatever reason, I just love listening to that. And I actually friggin' love the Sam Hunt song that's out right now. I think is the coolest thing ever. You got a cold heart and a cold hard truth. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Got a bottle of whiskey, but I got no proof that you showed up tonight. I mean, that thing just kills.
Oh yeah, that's a great song. I love that song.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that guy too.
Hard to forget.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm known to not be the biggest Sam Hunt fan, but I do love that thing. I think he nailed it there.
In 2019, you came out with "Please Come Home for Christmas." You absolutely killed it. Was that your first Christmas song?
Yeah, my first and only so far.
Okay. Where's the Christmas album?
I know, right? I know. I need to go working on it. It's something that I think we'll do at some point, but last year it seemed like perfect timing to try and do something for Christmas, and it was a really big Christmas song for us. I think it was like top 5 played in Canada. I think.
Yeah.
It was really awesome, and on all genres. Like they played on all different stations, and it's just awesome. I love that. When it was like, what Christmas song do you want to do? I literally was like, first of all, making decisions is, I don't know, probably the hardest thing that I ever do. And I've tried to get better at just making a decision and moving on, but it's hard for me. And I kind of procrastinated for like a whole week, and I was like, okay, I need to sit down and like choose a song. And I went through a bunch of different Christmas songs, just like different ones that people have played over the years. And I just found these playlists, and the Eagles version of that came out. Was it Eagles?
I think so.
I'm sure it's the Eagles. Well, actually, there was an earlier version. There was a guy who did it before, but the Eagles kind of made it famous, in my opinion. Or that was the version that I heard. And I just remember going, dun, 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 dun. I was like, oh, this is the one. I already know. And, so for a guy who takes forever making decisions, that one was pretty easy for me. I feel like that song was right up my alley and kind of what I do. So it was an easy choice.
Yeah, you killed that one.
And there's nothing like a Canadian Christmas, and you're in Nashville. There's don't even get any snow anymore.
No, we got snow one year. We did.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it was very awkward.
Yeah.
Usually snow in Nashville doesn't happen until like late January, but for whatever that one year, I want to say it was 4 or 5 years ago, it actually snowed on Christmas Eve. But of course the snow was gone by morning.
Of course. Yeah. Successful songwriter, obviously, with cuts on artists like Luke Bryan, John Party, Cole Swindell, just to name a few. That's pretty crazy that you've worked with all those big names.
Yeah, it is. It's been, I've learned a lot writing songs in this town, and I still love to do it and find new ways to be creative with it. And over the years, I feel like I've really settled in to be just a good, consistent writer, and I think that's kind of the key to it. I think you write a bunch of songs, and then years go by before they get cut, and you just try to write the best song in the room, and that's all I've ever tried to do. I was writing with the James Barker boys today.
Right on.
And they're good dudes, and we always have a great time. So it's like we're just gonna, I just keep writing songs, and I just keep trying to get them on records. And I've been super lucky. When I first signed, I had, I don't know, like 4 or 5 big cuts out of the gate, and those are hard cuts to get. And but I kind of attribute to a lot of my co-writers too. It's not just me. I'm very blessed to work with people I get to work with.
And like you said earlier, it's all about the team around you. Do you have a dream venue?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Ryman. I've been on the Ryman tours, and I've never stepped in the Circle because I said when I play there, I'll step in the Circle. That's when I'll do it. But there's also a place that I've only ever seen pictures of, and through other artists, the John Partys of the world and those guys. There's a place in, I believe it's in Colorado, called Red Rocks, that is just this giant amphitheater surrounded by rock. It just sounds like the coolest thing ever. But I've seen pictures of it. I've got a picture of it here on my vision board that I love, and it's one of those places that I've just, for whatever reason, I've always wanted to play. Never got to go there. Never got to, just for whatever reason, just feels like a place I'd love to play. So.
Well, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Well, we're trying.
There you go.
Other than this COVID stuff going on in 2020, it's been a good year for you. 2020 CCMA nominations for Songwriter of the Year, as well as Interactive Artist or Group of the Year. What's the feeling after hearing that? And also 2020 Juno nomination for Country Album of the Year. V.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. That was the Juno was a complete surprise. We did not even know that we were going to be up for that. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but you know, I felt like we made a great record, and to be recognized on that level was pretty amazing. And then the CCMAs, they've just been so good to me. You know, over the years, I've had nominations past 3 years in a row, and I won one. And I mean, that's a good enough track record for me. I think the fact that my name's in there is pretty mind blowing. I know 12-year-old me would be freaking out right now. So it's amazing to be where I'm at. And like I say, I owe a lot of that to my team. They're great people, and they've worked really hard to get those noms.
Do you have a dream collaboration, dead or alive?
I have to say Eric Church, probably.
Oh, well, he's still alive, so you got a shot at that still.
Still do, yeah. Still do. Or Elvis. I'd love to write a song with Elvis. I don't even know if Elvis wrote songs, but I think that would just be unbelievable. I actually have way more than that, but there's people that I never got to write with or had the chance to yet that are just big writers in Nashville that I live here and I still haven't got with them, but there's quite a few of those dudes hanging around that I'd love to write with, but yeah, you know, I'm a pretty wide open book when it comes to writing. I'll pretty much write with anybody, anytime, and you know, that's kind of in where I'm at, doing, you know, the same level of work as. So it's just, I have a lot of fun, and hopefully I just feel like I'd write with Eric Church and he would live up to everything that I thought he was. And
would you say he's your favorite artist to work with?
Yeah, I would love. Did you say touring? Sorry, you kind of cut out.
No, your favorite artist to work with down the road.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would love to. That would be awesome.
Perfect.
I probably have more than that, though. I mean, I've been a big fan of a lot of people. Party's always a good, fun time. John Party, those guys. I remember listening to John Party's record over and over and over when it came out. Or actually, I think it was his MySpace page, to be completely honest with you. I was a big fan of that. And anybody who's kind of found a way to make old country and new country work is I'm a huge fan of. So, and I feel like I'd love to tour with an Eric Church or Blake Shelton. I've met Blake before, awesome guy, and I've always wanted to do something with him possibly, but you never know.
So your newest current single, Every Time You Take Your Time, also your fourth Canadian country radio single from your Juno-nominated Warner Music Canada sophomore release, V. What inspired you to write this song? And any chance us and some fans could hear it?
Yeah, I'll play it for you. I wrote this song with a couple of my favorite people to write with that have never had a single on me and let me know about it all the time. But Ed Hill and Jimmy Ritchie. Ed was a big hit songwriter in the 90s. He wrote songs like, you know, It Matters to Me, and he's had a bunch of hits. If you look him up, you'll see him. And then Jimmy Ritchie is, my wife used to work for Jimmy, and Jimmy's a great guitar player and produced a lot of the early Jake Owen stuff, which I really like, and just a really great guy. And we always get together, and it's just I don't know what it is, whether I'm an old soul or something, but we hang out with those guys, and it's just so much fun to write. And I had come in with this song idea called Slow Motion, and so I've got this title, Slow Motion, and I literally started the song when I wrote with every, I was like, basically like, every time you take your time. And they were like, that's the title. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, well, can we get slow motion in there somewhere? But basically, this is just a song that I often tell people is like, I'm a married man. And I'm always ready before my wife is. I always will be. I put my boots on, I put my hats on, and I'm at the door. And she's not. So that's why I wrote the song.
I think we're all in that trouble.
I thank the good Lord I'm so blessed when I'm watching you slip on that dress. My heart starts beating through my chest. I can't explain what it does to me when you get that sweet look in your eyes. The world stops turning on a dime. You mess up this old heart of mine. Every time you take your time, it's like you're moving in slow motion, babe. Everything you do is just blowing me away. The way your body squeezes on your long blonde hair, that smile lights up. There it is right there. I'm in love, and I can't help myself. My mind's already down the road. On later on when we get home, you make me wanna make your night. Every time you take your time. Oh, it's like you're moving in. It's like you're moving in slow motion, babe. Everything you do is just blowing me away. The way your body sways on with your long blonde hair, that smile lights up. There it is right there. I'm in love, and I can't help myself. That sweet look in your eyes. The world stops turning on a dime. You mess up this old heart of mine. Every time you take your time, I'm so glad that I'm alive. Every time you take your time.
Thanks, Aaron. That was awesome, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
That's a really great new song, and we managed to stream a little bit of that live.
Love it. Awesome.
Your music garnered over 31 million total streams so far. Let's keep that number rolling.
I love that. I had no idea.
Can you tell us about the Fan the Jam, your digital fan club platform you got going?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of fun. We have about over 150 members now. It's really exciting. So we basically I give away one song a month, a song that you've never heard before. It's one of the things that I love so much because I have so many songs and I have and I want my closest, nearest, and dearest fans to be able to hear those songs before anyone else. So I'm able to post them on there where you can stream them and listen to them and tell me if you think they're great and if they should be on the next record or if you think they're not great. And it's always such a good thing. It's very interactive. We do free shows on there. We have a free show coming up on July 30th, 7 p.m. Central Time, and where you'll get your directions to log in. To find out about that show, we're giving away a pair of Bluetooth headphones that look like this right here.
Oh wow, those are sweet.
They're made by Kicker, who's an awesome sponsor for us, and they're those headphones are killer. They're noise canceling. They're amazing on planes. Obviously, we're not flying that much these days, but they're amazing. So we gave away one of their speakers that they make last month that looks like this. This is a bullfrog.
Oh wow!
You could throw this thing off a boat and it would still play. And then this month we're giving away the headphones. So, and all you have to do is be a member of Fan the Jam to enter in to win that. And we do a lot of really cool things. I do a fan of the week most weeks, and so it's just a lot of fun, and it gives people a chance to hear more music. Discounts on merchandise as well. If you like buying merch, so we got a lot of cool goodies in there.
So it's that everyone just can go to fanthejam.com, correct? And they just sign up right there.
fanthejam.com /Aaron Goodvin. It is.
In case you're missing
there
it.
you go, right there. Yes, you got it.
For everybody watching.
Come join us there and listen to some more music. If you're really into the music, you want to hear more, that's where you go to do it. So.
Some of my favorite artists, other than yourself, obviously, Luke Combs, Taybay, Megan Patrick, Willie Nelson. Have you met any of them or had a chance to work with any of them?
I have. Not Willie Nelson. That would be awesome. Megan I've written with before, and Love. We were just texting about going for dinner at some point in the very near future. Who else was on it? Taybay. The weirdest thing about Taybay and I have never written a song together, which just seems so odd that we're both Canadian. We both live in Nashville, but we the only
we just had Taybay on actually. You guys should do a song together. That would be unreal. I feel like your guys' voices would flow pretty well too.
Love it. Well,
you do it live on here.
Yeah, you might have just made that happen. But look, I've sang on a demo for Taybay. We've seen each other, and it's just one of those things that's just never happened.
And what about Luke Combs?
Luke, I did a show with a couple shows with, maybe just one show. I can't remember. I know I did one show with him in Long Island last year. There's a station that was playing bars and churches and had asked me to come out there and play for them. So I basically played with him and who was it? Him and Hunter Hayes were there. And Luke is the sweetest dude. He reminds me of, just a good, it's kind of like me in a way. Like we don't put a lot on. We just do what we do, and you either like it or you don't. And I can always respect that. Luke's been hitting it hard for a long time. It's awesome to see that his success he's just blown up. It's probably the biggest thing in country music. So.
Yeah, I'm the biggest Luke Combs fan there is out there. I've seen him 3 times in Vancouver, which is pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure he's only been here 3 times.
Right.
I remember seeing him down at the Commodore, and it's kind of when he wasn't that big of a name yet. And Commodore's kind of our small venue here. I don't know if you've ever seen it or been there, but we were like front row.
I have played Commodore.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, he like whipped out his whiskey and Coke, and like we could taste it. We were so close.
Awesome. That's
definitely not COVID friendly.
Yeah, definitely not. Maybe that's why that doesn't happen anymore. But
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Luke's a great guy. Awesome. I can't say enough good things about him. Super sweet guy, and just does what he does, and no apologies, and it's awesome to see.
Hey, what do you think of this new 24-team format in hockey? We're going back to hockey here.
I have no idea.
I
don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still in the hockey world.
Well, I am. I'm just saying I don't know what I think about it.
Okay.
I'm scared to, I don't know. We'll see we'll see, I guess. I mean, every time they make changes, I'm usually like, that's the dumbest thing ever. And then after a while, I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of see why they,
And it's all about trying to stay safe. I guess they have these hub cities stationed all over the world, including, Florida's got the basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Aaron, I just can't thank you enough for taking your time today for us, and we really appreciate you coming on, and we can't wait to see you keep killing country music, and keep coming to Vancouver, please. Make sure there's always a show up here.
We'll be back.
We'll be there
as soon as we can get there.
Yeah, we'll be there in Vancouver just to see you.
Love it, boys.
Hey, thank you so much.
All right,
appreciate it, Aaron.
Hey, thanks for the new song, too.
And have yourself a great night, and it was great dealing with Mandy. She's an amazing lady, so thank you very much.
So happy to hear that. Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.